So I finally quit my job that I spent 15 years building up my resume, climbing up the corporate ladder, and I decided to let it go to work with this guy to build a startup. And I want to be honest about it. When I was on mat leave, that was when I started thinking about even leaving my full-time job. And it was very scary for me because I didn't know, financially, is it gonna be stable? Am I gonna like working with this guy? Because me and him have very different working styles. I'm gonna be seeing him from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and there's no break. So is it gonna work together? I think also there's a sense of ego for sure, because I spent my whole life building up my job titles, earning my salary. And I had to let all that go to really move into a completely different role, completely different industry, learn everything from scratch.
From what I recall, it's not just mat leave. It was a little bit beforehand that we've always wanted to work together.
We've always been like, oh, what's a cool business idea? And finally, we actually came up with a business idea. I was like telling him, I'm like, we need to get into skincare. You know how much money I spend on skincare? So backstory, I have eczema. I've had it my whole life. So I spent $1 million on eczema cream. And then at the same time, I had a baby. Baby and eczema, oh my God, it's just wild. So I'm like, Wilson, we need to start a skincare brand that addresses baby eczema. And this guy, while I'm at home taking care of baby, he's going and creating his own baby eczema cream coincidentally. And then what did you do?
I came up with the idea.
You didn't, I said you should do skincare.
Yes, you did. You did say that. But I'm like, for that specific niche that we're like, okay, let's do that. And
sure.
And then we decided.
And then he goes finds another partner. Did you go find another partner?
I did.
Anyways, for the future of our relationship, he had to let it go.
Yeah, I still remember. We had some photo shoots taken. We were pushing.
We had photo shoots taken. The funny thing is, there must have been an inkling because you never talked about it at home.
Anyways, the whole point in saying that is we were not ready to become business partners. That's the reason why it was just never the right timing. Mat leave happened and I started jumping into this world of NFTs and Web3. And I'm like, hey Cass, let's jump in together and let's degen together. And what, it took you a week before you're like, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. It's not even because of me, it was because of what? You know what, why don't you share that story?
A podcast.
Okay. Not even a podcast, it's another celebrity crush of yours.
Ashton Kutcher. He is big in Web3 and he launched his own NFT project and that was my first NFT project. And then we just started spending our nights trading and doing it and it was fun. And then we started kind of working together a little bit here and there and then finally came to the crossroads of, okay, it's time for me to go back to mat leave. Do I want to do the work or what is my role here? And then I jumped into it. For me to feel like I was ready to leave my job, honestly, I think a partner who is very supportive of the decision, financially, emotionally, mentally, is probably the bedrock of it all because it allowed me to be like, okay, this decision is mine and I can drive it myself. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I think a big part of your struggle, I still remember when we were driving up to go camping, you were trying to figure out what your strengths are, right?
Identity.
Yeah.
I think it's like, okay, so I spent the last 15 years building up this identity in my career, specializing it, growing it, climbing the corporate ladder, and then I have to let go of that identity. And who's this new identity that I want to be? Figure out what that is. It took me a long time. I'm still in the midst of building who I am now in this new world of tech, of heavily male-dominated teams, and me and what I can contribute. So it's like, what is my value to this new work?
What's the value add that you have was one of the biggest questions you had. Yeah, and it took you, I think, at least like 2+ years to identify that. And I think that journey itself that you put yourself through was what ultimately gave you the confidence to be like, okay, now I've got it. Because besides in that, you even tried out like consultation.
Yes,
right?
I did some consulting work. You know, one of the reasons why I decided to leave my corporate job at Lululemon was that it was it's such a big company. There's 30,000 employees and you're a small fish in a really big pond. And they could replace you so easily. So everything was already built like a well-oiled machine. And for me personally, I know the work that I want to do and that excites me is to be able to make an impact. I know that I was excited when I worked in smaller businesses. So now when I work with Wilson and like the work that we do, I have so much opportunity to be creative, to create work that I know will drive value and push the needle forward. I always knew that this was what was important. So being able to identify what you value is important. What I didn't realize in stepping into this startup was building this startup together, us as the co-founders, if we're not driving the work, no one else is driving the work. We have to work through the weekends, meaning that it takes away from my kids' time. That was something that I kind of knew, but it's just being real. Coming in as a co-founder, inserting yourself into a new team, where our dynamic was trying to figure out how to work together, because it wasn't all rainbows and sunshines right away. It was, a lot of where do you fit in, where do I fit in, and how do we work best together? It
wasn't easy finding that, and I still remember we had so many instances where, like, initially I had resentment.
We had a lot of fights.
Dude, we never had fights. It was just like, ugh, don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, it wasn't a fight. It was just like a not happiness around the home as that bled into the work and then vice versa. Yeah, there was a lot of times where I was like, is this right for me? Do I want to work with him? Especially when we were not able to, I don't want this to impact my personal relationship with him. As a parent.
It has though, to some degree too.
It did, yeah.
At one point where, you were telling me, I didn't even realize, I'm like, everything you say, I thought it was stupid. And I'm like, why did I feel like that for a good 3-4 days? And I realized that, it's because of what she was telling me at work. I've been working for like 10 plus years and I'm like, hey Cass, let's chat. And this girl tells me to go set up a calendar invite with her. And I'm like, why would I need to do that? Like, it's so silly. You're sitting right across from me. And that's the reason why. And so we had to talk these things out to make sure that we find a good groove of working together and really identifying like our own emotions of like, where is this stemming from? Is it because of work or is it personal relationship? And that was like some kind of maneuvering that we had to deal with.
And then also just like work for myself, like for my own ego, it was like letting go of your career. That was a lot of work and self-work and trying to find my confidence in myself and identity that drove me to be able to do and be confident in this work. So myself, my relationship with you, letting go of my career and identity there.
We are actually making progress too with our work, which is great because we take on like big name clients, which is really cool. Working with Time, working with Samsung, Canon, Diesel, and you doing pitches now on stage as well, winning one of the pitches. That was really cool. We flew to Toronto and it's her first time pitching and she actually won. That was really cool. And you getting speaking engagements. And I think all those things really helped you build a new identity, which I'm really proud of. Was it scary for you?
Yeah, it was scary. That's why this whole conversation is here. There was just a lot of discovery work that you needed to do, but there's never gonna be a comfortable time to say, let's go let go of everything and step into the unknown. As long as I'm learning, it's always gonna be worth it. As long as I'm experiencing something new, it's always gonna be worth it.
I think it's worth it.
No, I think it's worth it. And honestly, what always gives me comfort is you can always find another job. If there's one thing I can encourage you to do, if you're in this thought around whether or not you want to quit your full-time job to step into your side hustle, just take comfort in the fact that you can always go back. Stepping into something new is always hard and something's difficult. I can promise you there's always going to be an experience and a learning opportunity, but if there's doubt, you will always be safe. There's gonna be jobs. You can always go back into the job market. Thank you for listening. That's my story, and we'll see you in the next video.
Good job.